Hey folks, this is King Wallace, conservative activist here in the state of Arkansas. I have been fighting against the issue of illegal immigration for years. I helped defeat in-state tuition for illegals here in 2005. I since then kept an eye on it and making sure it was defeated in 2007 and 2009. I fought against the then Republican Governor Mike Huckabee, as well as what was the majority party at the time, the Democrat Party, and me and a handful of activists managed to defeat them. Since then, I've held a few other events and videos regarding illegal immigration. I tried to fight against the establishment of a Mexican consulate here in the state of Little Rock, in the city of Little Rock. However, that consulate was able to be built and is currently handing out IDs and putting on the welfare rolls illegal aliens. The Guatemalan consulate was actually in my hometown, North Little Rock, not too long ago, doing the same thing. But I've been fighting against this. I've protested in front of the Mexican consulate. I've testified on illegal immigration on a local level. I've also went to Washington, D.C., where I met with some of the victims of illegal alien crime. And I'm here to warn folks about an event coming up where you may want to contact Immigration Customs Enforcement, get your video cameras out, and if you have a group of people, do a counter-protest. And that is the Separate Families event. June 30th, the organization Don't Separate Families is going to have protests organized all across the nation. They're going to be at the U.S. Capitol, but they'll also be in several places on a local level as well, because they understand that people need to get involved in local elections. And I'm actually looking up their website now. But you can go on their Facebook page to find out where they're at. I thought I had it pulled up. But it will be June 30th. And as I've said in a previous video, we need people to get more involved on a local level. If any politician tells you that immigration is a federal issue, that politician is most likely lying to you. Because the pro-illegal group passed they push for sanctuaries. They push for sanctuary cities. They push for sanctuary states. It's an organization. Of course, it's organized by movement.org, but its families belong together. And I'm mainly kind of showing this to let folks know about it. But there's actually 4 towns in my home state of Arkansas: Fayetteville, Fort Smith, Hot Springs, and Jonesboro so far, and there may be more that haven't been added yet, where they're going to have little organizers, usually in front of courthouses or the city halls, or city courthouses, or some public square. That's typically where these protests take place. And of course, they'll push for the same thing. They'll demand that most of what they demand is actually open borders, and oftentimes they're very honest in that. And that's why I tell people, take a camcorder if you can. Try to film these events and take your phone and record them, because usually you'll find out where they really stand. These people want open borders. They want full-blown amnesty. They do not care about the victims of illegal alien crime. They do not care about the drugs and narcotics. If you bring the issue up, they'll blame America for all of that. They certainly don't care about the corruption in their home countries. They'll blame America for that too. And they will try to push their agenda. If you can get a group of folks to actually show up and counter-protest this, there was an organization called Remember 1986, and they led some protests against amnesties. I helped organize one in front of the Mexican consulate years ago. But oftentimes it's kind of hard to get these people, find them down, and get them the time to show up and say or do something. But these rallies can be important. They can oftentimes get the message across. And we need to get our message across that illegal immigration doesn't work. It's never worked anywhere. It ends up decreasing wages, increasing the amount of crime. It's certainly not anything regarding Milton Friedman's free market. I know there's some libertarians that support illegal immigration, and they say, well, just get rid of the welfare state. It's like, you're never going to do that as long as you have an open border. and it's really not the free market anyway, because you have such you have so much of the third world problems that you can't have a free market system. Because too many of your children being killed. Look at what's happening in Europe right now. I mean, that's not a free market system. There's so many. It's like rapes have gone up by so much high percentage. There's Sharia law zones now in Europe. So no, it doesn't work. It's never worked anywhere. It's getting people killed. It's destroying this nation. And in the long run, it's not even helping the people in these third world countries, because their governments are going to continue to sit on their butts and be corrupt. They're going to look like Vicente Fox or Daniel Ortega, fat, lazy, Spaniard-looking cowards who live in these opulent, rich communities, along with the other politically connected elite. Kind of like the 5 richest zip codes in the United States, which are in Washington, D.C. And they just sit there and let everybody suffer. And that's kind of what the swamp wants here. That's what your local swamp wants here. A lot of your local government officials are the same way. And they won't tell you that. But that's the way they feel. But anyway, June 30th, there's going to be a bunch of these illegal alien protests across the state, across the nation. And quite frankly, you know what? Go ahead and call Immigration Customs Enforcement. Who knows? Maybe they'll show up. Maybe they'll arrest some illegals, and maybe you'll be able to catch them in the act of aiding and abetting illegal immigration. And then maybe there's America's Most Wanted or a fugitive that's been out for violent crime, and it wouldn't surprise me. We need to stop this. We need to get people involved. I'm sorry, but voting for Trump is not going to get the job done. It is not enough. We need to get involved in this. We also need to get involved in these primary elections. This was the website that I had put up, and I thought I had the other one. But these primary elections, folks, this coming Tuesday, if you're in Colorado, Maryland, Oklahoma, or Utah, June 26th, this coming Tuesday, you have primary elections where you get to choose the people that are going to run for the political party. Now, I will say that by and large, and I think most people know this to a lesser extent, generally it's almost all the Democrat Party supports the illegal alien agenda. That's just kind of, I think most people kind of understand that. Sadly, a lot of Republicans support it too. Even though illegal immigration is an increase in taxes, it increases the size and scope of government, it gets people killed. It's worse than a foreign army. We lose more people to illegal alien crime than we do to war. Still, there's Republicans that they get the donations from Tyson Foods and Cargill and Swiftco and these other cowardly crony capitalist chamber of commerce type businesses that quote unquote need illegals, and of course they don't. And they just kind of follow along and support this agenda. And so this is the chance, these primary elections are the chance to see which one is part of the problem and which one could be a potential solution. We had Donald Trump, the primary elections were probably the toughest thing for Donald Trump, because the swamp, that's where the swamp, they wanted, of course, Jeb Bush, and then after that they wanted Marco Rubio, both of whom are people that have pushed for amnesties. And they didn't want Donald Trump initially, but when it became Donald Trump and Ted Cruz, they realized that Donald Trump was probably the better option of the two, and a lot of these a lot of your Republican candidates who now support Donald Trump were vehemently opposed to him, like my Rhino excuse of a governor who pushed for Marco Rubio, and who also sabotaged 2 sanctuary city bills. And my primary election in my state's already happened, and it was pitiful. It was 18% turnout. 9% of the registered voters basically elected our governor, and he's going to probably sabotage any kind of self-deportation bill that's pushed. So you can go to look the list of the primary elections. There's several that are happening afterwards. Tennessee, Kansas, Michigan, Missouri, Washington, Hawaii, Connecticut, Minnesota, Vermont, Wisconsin, Alaska, Wyoming, Arizona, Florida, Massachusetts, Delaware, New Hampshire, Rhode Island, New York, Louisiana. They're all having primary elections after that. Find out what's going on there, and not just, find out who your state rep is, who your local rep is, find out these city officials, your mayors. Where do you think these sanctuary cities come from? They come from these city elections, and sadly, we have a lot of, quote-unquote red states that went for Trump in double digits, but they somehow, some way end up with a leftist, pro-amnesty, pro-abortion, anti-gun state and local governments. I mean, and that needs to stop. Voting for Donald Trump is not going to fix this country. Supporting him on Facebook and liking and sharing and commenting on a couple of YouTube and Facebook videos is not going to get the job done. You need to knock on doors, make phone calls, show up at city and council meetings, show up and protest. So I've given you 2 events in some of those states, June 26th and then June 30th. If you can, show up at these protests, counter-protest them, film them, catch them in the act of supporting amnesty. I filmed some of these protests before. There's some of the outrageous things they say. Usually the LGBT group will be there too. The pro-abortion group, they'll often be there too. And it is kind of disconcerting that the Catholic Church kind of looks the other way on this. But let's be honest, they care more about illegals than the unborn. You can just tell. I know in my state, Bishop Anthony Taylor, the head of the Catholic Church, and no, I'm not Catholic, but I do keep up with them because of what they do. They overwhelmingly support illegal immigration over abortion. He didn't even show up in the pro-life protests last year. And I believe in another one, he tried to use the pro-life, he was a speaker at the pro-life event, and he used it as a platform to advocate for illegal immigration. And myself and others had to condemn him for it. And it seems like it's that way on a national level. But anyway, I'm parched, I've had a long day, and this video is a bit longer than it should be. So like, share, and comment on this. Go to my GoFundMe page, record Arkansas events. I'll put a link to it at the bottom of this. And get out there and fight this issue. Get involved, drain the local swamp. Drain the swamp in your backyard. That's about it.